AI art is absolutely exploding right now, and it's advancing faster than almost anyone had expected. In fact, let's take a quick look at the progress AI art has made just in 2022 alone. This is what AI art looked like 1 year ago, and this is what AI art looks like today. As of the recording of this video, the most powerful AI art generator is Midjourney version 4, which currently has 5 million members on their Discord server, which is where people use the tool to generate images. There are other image generators as well, namely DALL-E 2, Stable Diffusion, and more being worked on by Google, Meta, Microsoft, etc. But as of today, all of them are lagging far behind Midjourney. If you don't know how an AI image generator works, you basically just type out some text called a prompt, which can be as simple or as detailed as you like, hit enter, and the AI pops out an image that, depending on your prompt, could be absolutely mind-blowing. And considering the revolutionary capabilities of AI art, it's safe to say it's disrupting the art industry in a big way. You may have even seen that in the summer of 2022, an AI-generated art piece won first place in an art competition. Of course, most people assume it took the winner maybe 30 seconds to generate the piece that won, but that's actually not the case. He spent roughly 80 hours working on his entry, generating almost 1,000 different images using Midjourney version 3, and tweaking the results in Photoshop to create the final piece that won. But since this competition, Midjourney has moved from version 3 to version 4, and the jump in quality is absolutely staggering. Also, the CEO of Midjourney has said that Midjourney is expected to increase in speed and quality by over 100 times within the next year, with new versions being released every single month. It's hard to even imagine what a 100x improvement from this would even look like. One thing though that almost nobody seems to be talking about right now is the emerging field of AI photography. That is AI generated images that look like actual photos taken with a camera. But how close are AI photos to real photos today? So here are some real photos of a car, some people, and a cow, right? Wrong. These are actually AI-generated photos. AI today is already creating photorealistic images, many of which are indistinguishable from real pictures. It's almost unbelievable, but nothing in these photos are real. You could even upload these to Instagram and most people would have no idea that they were AI-generated. And because they've gotten so good, now if you need any type of stock photo, you can just generate one with AI. And while Getty Images has banned AI-generated images, Shutterstock and Adobe are actively integrating AI into their platforms. So it's not just the world of art that's being turned upside down, the world of photography is as well. Not to mention videos, music, writing, etc., but more on those later. You may or may not be surprised, but some people are less inclined to accept AI art than others, which is expected as this response to a new technology is as old as time. In fact, the exact same thing happened when photography was first invented as well. See, while today photography is widely accepted as an art form, when it first came out, photography was shunned by the art community. Most people believed that because photographs were made by a machine rather than a human, it could never be considered true art. Sound familiar? In fact, it may surprise you that even though photography was invented in the 1820s, it wasn't until 100 years later in the early 1900s that the very first photographs began to appear in art galleries in the United States. And when Alfred Stieglitz hosted the very first art galleries in New York showcasing photos instead of paintings, the director of the Metropolitan Museum of Art told Alfred, "You won't insist that a photograph can possibly be a work of art." And when Mr. Stieglitz did insist, the director called him a fanatic. Although there are some examples of people fighting for photographs to be considered art early on as well, like landscape photographer John Moran, who wrote way back in 1865 that this refusal to rank photography among the fine arts I consider unfounded. Its aim and end being one in common with art. It speaks the same language and addresses itself to the same sentiments. See, a photograph also has the ability to to move and inspire viewers just like a painting does, and so does AI art. Whether you use paintbrushes, cameras, Photoshop, or image generators, these are all simply tools used by people to express their creativity. Even if all you did was find a leaf in the woods and frame it, that is still considered art. Even though you didn't create the leaf yourself, the simple act of you choosing which leaf to frame and choosing to frame it is enough for it to be considered artistic expression. And the same goes for choosing what to take a photo of and choosing what prompts to use in an image generator and curating which images to export, edit, and then show to the world. In a well-written article for Wired, Kevin Kelly wrote the following about AI art. AI art resides somewhere between painting and photography. It lives in a possibility space as large as painting and drawing and as huge as human imagination. But you move through this space like a photographer, hunting for discoveries. While tweaking your prompts, you may arrive at a spot no one has visited before. So you explore this area slowly, taking snapshots as you step through. The art is in the craft of finding new areas and setting yourself up there, exercising good taste and the keen eye of curation in what you capture. When photography first appeared, it seemed as if all a photographer had to do was push a button. Likewise, it seems that all a person has to do for a glorious AI image is push a button. In both cases, you get an image, but to get a great one, a truly artistic one, well, that's another matter. With the advent of any new technology, there are always people who fear it and want the world to stay the same as it was before and never change. Pushback to new technologies has happened for centuries. In fact, painter Henrietta Klopath even wrote in 1901 that the fear has sometimes been expressed that photography would in time entirely supersede the art of painting. Some people seem to think that when the process of taking photographs in color has been perfected and made common enough, the painter will have nothing more to do. Rob Sheridan, who's a well-known traditional artist who's made art for bands such as Nine Inch Nails, said the following on the Tech Dirt podcast about AI art.
Now you have millions more who are able to enter the arena for the first time ever. You know, in the art world, there's a gatekeeping that I'm seeing, which is really funny to me now to see these like young CGI artists being like, "You didn't put the time in, you didn't make this by hand." It's like, I mean, my dude, do you know what people said about CGI when it came out? Do you know what traditional artists said about this? Because you're literally saying it right now. You're saying the computer's doing it for you. You're not doing it by hand. You didn't put all these hours in. It's like, what do you think? What do you think painters and illustrators said when you could just type in a bunch of numbers on a program and have it light the scene for you? And now enough time has passed where we have accepted 3D and CGI stuff as a form of art that now those guys are gatekeeping against a new form of digital art, which just blows my mind to be around through this.
See, most issues artists have with AI art stem from this fear that they are going to be replaced, or simply the fact that they think it's unfair that people with no art background can now create art that used to take years of practice and training to create. As an example, there's a picture going around that falsely states that all AI art does is stitch together parts of other people's artwork, almost like a collage. But of course, the image they used for this example is not a real AI-generated image. Instead, the author manually copied and pasted images together themselves. This is not how AI image generators work. Image generators work by first being trained by millions of images that are scraped from the internet. This training takes months to complete, and the AI learns patterns and associations around what words correlate with what styles, compositions, colors, etc. And once the AI is trained, it's exported and no longer has access to any images at all. You can even download an image generator and use it without an internet connection. This is because it has learned how to create an image. And when a prompt is entered, the AI begins with completely random noise and gradually forms an image out of those random pixels. So the image it creates is new. Okay, but even though it doesn't actually stitch together artwork, the new images it does create would not be possible if it wasn't trained using images downloaded from the internet, which includes images from artists that did not consent for their art to be used to train an AI. This is true, but both AI and humans learn from other people's art. You don't need someone's permission to study their art and incorporate elements of it into your own art. Human artists are constantly doing this. In fact, you're even taught to do this in art school school. And it's the same thing whether a human is doing it or an AI. Illustrator Mildred Lewis even says, I started drawing by basically copying anime, and that's still very prevalent in how I draw now. It's a beginning step on the way to developing your own style. Comic book artist Jen Bartel says, every working professional artist I know uses tons of references. Comic book artist Jack Kirby says, if you think someone draws the type of hands you want to draw, steal them, take those hands. And even famous painter Salvador Dali said that those who do not want to imitate anything produce nothing. See, remixing is everywhere we look. It's a fundamental part of how the modern world and economy works. Whether it's TikTok, YouTube, movies, music, memes, or art, all of these are filled with people learning from, copying, and remixing each other's work. Nothing occurs in a vacuum, not AI art and not human-made art either. Rob Sheridan also had this to say about AI artists imitating traditional artists' styles.
One of the things that you mentioned, right, was like you brought up, with some of these programs, they often seem to work better if you do say like in the style of this particular artist. Or that's been one of the big concerns I think that I've seen is that people are saying like, oh, well, there it's clearly ripping off that artist or pulling from their style, and therefore, it's unfair to that artist.
This is where a lot of artists' lack of understanding of how copyright works can muddle this discussion, because they're like, this is copyright infringement, and it's not. First of all, once again, these systems are not taking actual pieces of your art and repurposing them. They're not taking a single pixel of it. They're only looking at it. But beyond that, you can't copyright a style. You can't copyright something that kind of looks like something else. And my God, the worst direction that this could go is somebody with the right connections gets a congressman riled up about this, and we end up copywriting styles. And you want to kill art, that'll kill art, because everything looks like something else.
And let's say we did ban AI image generators from being trained on artwork unless it's specifically from the public domain. Well, if we did that, AI would still surpass humans. All this would do is slow AI art down by a few months or maybe a year. And then once it's as good as it is today again, we're right back to where we started. And artists would still be complaining that AI artists are stealing jobs away from quote-unquote real artists, and that AI art takes no skill, and then demonizing anyone who uses it. Of course, there are always bad actors on the internet who will use technology for nefarious things, such as a recent example where a Twitch streamer was making fan art of Genshin Impact when someone fed their unfinished art through an AI, which finished it before the streamer could. Then they posted it on Twitter pretending to actually be the original artist. But this is obviously not what image generators were intended for, and this person clearly just wanted attention and to cause problems. Most people don't do stuff like this, and we shouldn't let a small minority of trolls divide us. I'd also like to mention that the streamer was making fan art, and fan art is by definition copying/remixing someone else's intellectual property. Imagine if Genshin Impact demanded royalties from any streamer who made fan art of their game. That would not be a good thing. The internet has been fighting for years for more fair use, not less. And we shouldn't undo all that progress because some people just don't like AI art. The internet has been fighting for more fair use because it's well known that copyright and intellectual property laws exist today largely to protect giant companies like Disney and Nintendo, who actually have the resources to hire legal teams and pay legal fees, allowing them to stifle creativity and competition from smaller creators. These laws actually hurt small creators, but now because of AI, a lot of artists and small creators want to use this legal system to hurt those smaller than themselves, just like the big companies have been doing for years. Disney made this transition too. Originally, Disney made extensive use of public domain stories like Snow White, Pinocchio, and Alice in Wonderland, but when it came time for Disney's stories to enter the public domain, Disney lobbied to have the length of copyright extended. Even Steve Jobs was originally boastful about Apple's history of copying.
It comes down to trying to expose yourself to the best things that humans have done and try to bring those things in to what you're doing. I mean, Picasso had a saying, he said, good artists copy, great artists steal. And we have, always been shameless about stealing great ideas.
But when Apple became successful, it was suddenly time to crush anyone beneath them. At one point, Steve Jobs even said, I'm going to destroy Android because it's a stolen product. I'm willing to go thermonuclear war on this.
And we have invented a new technology called multi-touch, which is phenomenal. You can do multi-finger gestures on it, And boy, have we patented it.
In an interview with Steven Zapata, artist Miles Johnston had this to say about AI art.
Having invested so much of our identity into learning how to do something, it is like your life's work to form these skills. How badly you don't want that to go away. It's hard not to have that bias shape some of your reactions to this technology. Like the actual thing that I could see being threatened is actually the model of the kind of high priests of creativity that we've,
that we have become with our
yeah, like that's my worry. It's like, am I like the sort of priest who's saying, no, you can't have it yourself. It has to come through me. Only I can interpret it. If people have a way to experience the joy of creating stuff in their own way, I'm not the person who wants to take that away from them. So I often find myself a little bit frustrated. Some of the pushback I see from artists feels shallow in the argumentation. Twitter is often insane, and the kind of hot take culture leads to kind of people just saying stuff that just isn't true or very interesting. Everybody just be, that's my team when it comes to like the AI art discussion. To be able to produce something that stands out, that is meaningful using generative AI will have become its own process in the same way that there are techniques in music, like sampling is a very good example. And some of my favorite music heavily involves sampling, where you literally lift a passage of music and change it and reformat into something new. I know a lot of people actually within that space, I think would broadly agree with what I've been saying, which is that they don't view this as in competition at all. It's just another form of human creative expression.
What happens when AI generators do the same thing to video as it's doing right now to images? When AI is capable of making YouTube videos as well or better than humans, will that put video creators out of work? Well, if we look at how AI image generators are being used right now, it's not AI companies generating all of the art themselves, it's people using the AI as a tool to create their own art. So when AI can create TikToks and YouTube videos as well as humans, it'll probably still be humans using it as a tool to create their own videos. AI might also become better than humans at writing text prompts, and then they'll be able to make art without any human input at all. What happens then? Well, AI being able to do things better than us humans hasn't stopped us from continuing to do those things in the past. As an example, when computers first surpassed humans at chess, many people thought that human chess was over. Why would anyone play or watch humans play chess if a computer can do it way better? Well, it's now been 30 years and people are still playing chess today. In fact, chess is arguably bigger than ever. Not to mention AI can also play video games better than us, but we still play and watch other people play video games regardless. And when AI can inevitably generate entire individualized blockbuster movies on its own, we will probably still be watching human-made movies too, because people like to share experiences like movies together. It would be extremely lonely to only watch individualized movies made by an AI all by yourself and have nobody to talk to about it. So I doubt that will happen. Maybe a little when people want some alone time, but in general, people will likely always want to see what other people are doing and creating. One quote I find really interesting is the following said by artist Man Ray way back in 1950. Painting is directed by the heart. Photography is directed by the mind. But someday, heart and mind will become one, and an all-embracing and economical medium will enable us to realize all of our desires instantly. And now, 70 years later, the CEO of Stability AI, Emad Mustaq, which created Stable Diffusion, said the following in an interview with The Verge. AI is bringing fire from the gods of creativity to the world. We're seeing 3-year-olds to 90-year-olds able to create for the first time. He went on to say that we see these tools as infrastructure to advance humanity, and we believe the positive elements far outweigh the negatives. Imagine if we had stopped automating and advancing technology in the 1800s out of fear of tractors devaluing the work of farmers who tilled the land by hand. It goes without saying, but we should be embracing and changing with technology, not trying to hold it back. All that has happened here is more creativity has been added to the world. People forget how much is gained by democratizing artistic creation. So many people have ideas that they never get a chance to do anything with, or maybe don't even realize how much creativity they have until something makes it easier to access. AI art is enabling millions of people in ways never seen before. The barriers to entry are being lowered at an unbelievable pace. Now, no matter your background or financial situation, anyone can begin working on their creative projects that they've always wanted to, but maybe didn't have the time or money to do so. That includes things like comic books, board games and card games, book covers and album covers, t-shirt designs, interior design, the list goes on. AI is also making it easier and faster to edit videos, write novels, song lyrics, YouTube videos, music, etc. It's also helping indie game developers create games better and faster than ever before. AI is enabling small creators, just like the digital camera, smartphone, computer, and the internet have enabled people to create things they never thought possible before. AI tools are opening up an entirely new world of opportunity, and it'll be exciting to see what people create with these tools as we enter into this new and changing world of artificial intelligence. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe so you get notified when I upload a new video. And if you're interested, I also have some merch available as well. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.